All right, here we go. The show has already started, Amanda. I'm just trying to figure out how to lead into it. I'm Billy Liucci.
I'm Amanda Atwell.
And we will see if I can successfully move
Goalposts. I think you've done some goalpost moving already. Well, maybe not you as much so as a lot of fans have this week.
Yeah.
You have stayed relatively quiet.
Yeah,
I mean, people are still just putting a missing person notice out for you because they haven't seen you yourself tweet, like your own tweet. It's only you've been hiding in replies, just hoping people don't notice.
we did enjoy lots of tailgating.
Someone forgot to bring me some La Casa, though.
I did forget, but La Casa.
It's okay. I still have a bottle or two to celebrate with.
It might help your voice right now. So La
Does
Casa.
tequila help voices?
I did enjoy some La Casa though while I was in Austin.
I saw there is La Casa on the menu at Three Forks in Austin. It's like their main tequila. So if you happen to be at Three Forks, get you a La Casa margarita.
Drake hustles, man. I've seen La Casa up in Jackson Hole. They're in the stadium in Cleveland with the Browns. That's their tequila of choice in the stadium. So they're getting bigger and bigger, and I really want to tell Aggies and Longhorns, give it a try. You're going to like it. You're going to start drinking it. You're going to want it. Again, La Casa Tequila, there you go. They're a proud sponsor. Well, I'll say this, two things. Number one, my attempt this weekend in Austin to get you to lose your voice, and I didn't even elicit help from Grant or Peyton or any of my friends.
Both me and Peyton sound like this right now.
It almost worked. That was kind of the plan. Once we're like fourth quarter of that game going on, I'm like, okay, we need to run plan B here. That was it. Hasn't worked. So
we made sure to yell at a lower register than usual. That was me and Peyton's plan going into this. Because at the OU game, we were just kind of squawking like birds. At this game, we took down the register a little bit to try to make the voice last longer. And we were sitting not in the A&M section, but A&M section adjacent.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of bleed over. So we made it our goal to be as obnoxious as possible without being rude, just being as loud as possible. I mean, the Aggie in front of us was very nice. He turned around and he told us, like, as he sat down, he was like, I just want you to know if I'm yelling, it's F yes, not F you. I was like, okay, thank you for the clarification because same. So it went well for one of us. And that Aggie ended up buying us a beer. Very nice. Very good experience overall. Maybe not as much so for him, but we had a lot of fun. And our voices are now they're tapering down, especially after last night, the second night of celebrating.
Well, no celebrating for me, but I was,
drinking your sorrows.
Yes, that would be more how you put it. And then come back today, and I know a lot of people have been looking forward to this on your side all year because I've kind of had, the unexpected higher ground most of the season, and this was kind of the last chance of well, probably. I don't think there's a playoff. We'll talk about that in a minute, but probably the last chance was this game, and sure enough, you went and got it. Yeah, I was quiet on Twitter. It's funny, though, how many people, we were laughing, you and I, about all the people.
You see how many notifications you had when you opened your phone?
Yeah, a lot. And
I hope you have your Twitter notifications off so they don't
they don't
actually pop up on your phone.
Yeah, they don't pop up. But it was filling up, and what they don't realize is, one thing people don't get, I don't tweet very often at all during games. It's usually end of game, Aggies win. It's a lot more than when they lose, certainly. That would be something that I would say guilty as charged. But it's during the game, I find, like I said today, if I would have tweeted some halftime thoughts, it would have been extremely positive, up 10-3, and Texas offense hadn't really done much of anything. Aggies getting the ball back to start and then that back. So good or bad, I try not to tweet very often during games. It's really only when my frustration level or excitement was at like an all-time high, either way. But then after the game, it was like there's this certain person that I'm talking to right now that it was just not a good time for me to tweet. And everybody's taking a victory lap, but what they don't realize is there's only one reason I'm not engaging. It's you, because you're just waiting for me to say something that'll backfire. So I waited, let it calm down. Saturday, I think I started commenting, getting into the replies a little bit, just to, people that were doing wellness checks.
You had to go back and lick your wounds a little bit.
Yeah, and just enjoy the rest of the night and not let a game like that, look, we've all our teams lose games. We lose heartbreakers. We lose, season enders and yada, yada. And I was just like, this one, as bad as it sucks, there's still a lot of football to be played. I'm not going to mope around for 2 nights.
It does sting still. And I mean, my biggest thing is after this game is, yeah, you want to say what you're going to say to try to make yourself feel better after your team loses. But for Aggies to respond, certain Aggies, not all, a lot of them responding in a great way, like Texas showed up, we'll have a fun season ahead. But those that show up say, oh, it didn't even matter because we're going to the college football playoff and you're not. Don't act like this game didn't matter to you. This game mattered to you. And if it didn't, you don't really love A&M like you act like you do. This game should matter to you.
It has to matter. If you're a fan of A&M, if you're a sports fan, if you're a fan of the Longhorns, if you're a college football fan, it's a rivalry, man. We know, there's been times in this rivalry where one of the two teams just flat out sucks, and it's still.
Why ever play if it doesn't matter because there's nothing beyond it? Why even play the game?
They're just saying that, and everybody it mattered to everybody. But here's the thing: it mattered a lot for both teams, but for A&M, Texas was trying to hang on. So separate the part that we'll talk about in a minute. It's like how much this means to the fans, the players, the programs, the recruiting battles, all of those things. It mattered to A&M from the standpoint of they went in there with a chance to go to their first ever SEC title game, a chance to get a playoff bye as a top 4 seed, a chance to cap off an undefeated regular season, which, like I said last week, it's rare. Ohio State didn't do that last year. Texas didn't do that last year. Georgia, Notre Dame, probably the 4 best teams in college football last year. They didn't do it. It is very difficult to accomplish that. And so for A&M having that went by the wayside. Marcel Reed's Heisman hopes, and I know today it seems like, oh, what Heisman? But had he, like I said last week, had he beaten Texas, finished an undefeated season, and then gone and won an SEC title, that's right there in front of him. So they lost a lot on Saturday, and they also lost momentum. And that's aside from the rivalry. So now this team's got to regroup and pick up because they do have – this is what I said, Amanda, and I mean this. Every game A&M plays from now until the end of the season, whenever that is officially more important than the one they just played. And I know it doesn't have the emotion of it, but you're in the college football playoff now. Anything can happen, especially once we find out the seeding, right? Anything can happen. Arizona State almost beat Texas last year. Notre Dame went to the championship. I don't think people thought so. Ohio State lost to Michigan, rolled through the playoff. Anything can happen, especially this year. So every game they play from here on out is more important. But damn, there was nothing more important in the world, of the sports world anyway, to those coaches, players, and fans on both sides Friday night. And Texas with I think, not perfect, but just with a really impressive second half, went in there and pulled away at home. And I think, I'm going to let you go here for a second. The biggest thing, to me, it reminded me a lot of A&M at South Carolina last year, LSU at A&M this year, Ole Miss at Georgia this year. If you let a road crowd in the SEC that is rabid, and Texas crowd, I tip my cap. I had some people this summer tell me, Billy, you got to get to a game there. It's changed. The environment's gotten a lot better.
And this was our only night game of the season this year. That, as a person who went to school in the Charlie Strong era, I have never seen DKR like that in my life, ever.
Yeah.
I mean, that being said, I miss going to the Notre Dame game. I miss going to LSU when LSU was played at Texas. I miss going to the Alabama game, but Alabama was at 11 a.m., so
Yeah.
that's even going to be different. But that was the most insane I have ever seen that stadium, and I mean, you can tell I was part of it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and just being down on the sideline, you get even more of a feel for what like the players are feeling. And it just felt very, I mean, I'm not going to overdo it, but I'm going to say it felt very SEC, and it certainly affected A&M when they were on offense. There's no question about that. I think you'd have to be dishonest or a liar to sit here and say it didn't. I thought, but that's where I go back to A&M and those games I mentioned in Athens for Ole Miss this year, at Kyle Field last year when LSU was up 17-7 at halftime and Marcel came in, A&M at South Carolina. When you give these road crowds in these type games an inch, they will take a mile. And if you let momentum become a thing, it can overwhelm you. And the home team feels it. And in all those games, that was exactly what happened. And that's what happened Friday, in my opinion. I think A&M got the ball to the third quarter. They were up 7. Had they managed to score to make it 17-3, even 13-3, or Texas went and scored, I thought that first run by Wisner was a massive momentum change in that football game. But had A&M scored first out of the half, I think it would have really had a lot of people wondering, man, I think we might lose this one. It just takes that edge off, and they couldn't do it, and they let Texas get momentum, and they let that crowd get into it. And again, that Texas, A&M had a moment there where they hit that touchdown, and it was 2017 with plenty of time left. You get a penalty on the kickoff. Texas goes right down, and I thought a great play call on the third down. They motioned the tight end.
I think that was one of Sark's best play calls all season. That was
3rd and 3 and arch to the house. Like, it was a terrific call. The other 2 biggest plays of the game were, I think, it matters. This is not like down-talking Texas. It just is what it is. I wish Texas would have had coverage busts. But 2 massive coverage busts for A&M was the touchdown to Wingo. And I thought the actual play of the game was the Andrews 48, 54-yard, whatever it was, catch and run there at the end of the third quarter. It set them up at the 2-yard line. The Aggies were right there in that. It was 13-10. You guys, we're really good red zone defense. You guys are tough offensively in the red zone, not great. But for him to take it all the way down to the 2, that catch and run, a blown coverage, and
and A&M's, this was one thing we talked about on Texas. A&M's secondary hadn't really been tested quite as much as you would think a team that is undefeated would be tested at this point.
Probably the best passing game, if we're being honest, was, I would say, interestingly enough, because they're so known for their running game, I would have probably said Notre Dame in game 1. So it's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't think, again, it was like 2 really bad busted coverages there. And it was part of the game, right? Like I said, I wish Texas would have busted twice. Could have been 2 massive plays for A&M. They didn't. But, yeah, those 2, I think, really swung it. And then, once you get that momentum, and I was down there with a lot of it was weird down in that sideline. On the A&M side, it was Johnny was down there. Nnamdi Matabike, former Aggie. He's a former Aggie player, star for the Baltimore Ravens. Dante Hall, the X Factor. You don't remember him, but you should, and all the Longhorns do. He was there with Jamal Charles, so a couple of Kansas City Chiefs legends, so you really should know them. And, one of my favorite all-time Longhorns, Malik Jefferson. They're all down there, and we're all watching the game and talking, and the Texas guys are like, man, they've really done a lot with this environment. Like, it really is.
You can ask Malik, because I was there when Malik was there. And
exactly.
he will tell you it was, as a student, we would give away our tickets for free.
Yeah.
You don't want to go watch something that's one, not a great product. Two, the tailgating back then was so discombobulated. We would be
Yeah.
tailgating at fraternity houses in West Campus because there wasn't really a great setup that students could go to by the stadium. So it was very discombobulated. It didn't invite people to get in early and get ready for the game. So, I mean, and that's hats off to Del Conte. He's completely flipped it on its head just in time for SEC play and just in time to have plays like this. And as my voice continues to get worse and worse and worse.
Just a funny aside is, last year in the playoffs, I went down there and some, complete troublemaking asshole that if I ever find out who it is, I'd love to have words with him. Like wanted to take a picture of me talking to Slosh just to cause a negative reaction towards me, which I think, again, just shitty people exist and they hide like cowards. So the guy's probably listening. So cameraman, one day come up to me and shake my hand and say, hey, I'm the one that took the picture, right? But everybody freaked out about that one. It's funny, right when I walk into the stadium, I'm just there's so many people down there. I come out of the tunnel and I don't know which sideline it is, because everybody's in the end zone and the Texas team was down there, so A&M was on the far other. So I come out, I go left, and I start walking. First person I see is Del Conte, and he's like, Billy, he's like, you're going the wrong way, and I talked to him for a couple minutes, and I see some news person I know, and literally trying to film it, and I'm just like, what are you doing, dude? Like, I'm going to talk to people. I hate to break it.
Conte's a nice guy,
yeah. He is. And I hate to break it to you, but I'm going to talk to, sometime during this entire game, I'm going to talk to some people that are Texas people. I talked to Drew Martin, who worked here forever. He's risen up the AD chain there. It just happens. So, and loved and really enjoyed watching the game with that crew. Probably better than watching it with you and Peyton, so I didn't have people screaming at me.
You probably wouldn't have hearing. I mean, even my boyfriend Grant was not thrilled with the level of which volume we were screaming at, but he's just not used to it because Minnesota hasn't been good at football in a long time. So
got to do it. So let's dive into it then. Let's go. I mean, this is people are wanting to hear you. I think. Well, they want to hear you for one reason. They want to hear me for another reason. So let's get into it. We do have a lot to talk about, not just the game, but the 2 seasons. And then, hey, look, it's going to be. I wanted to win this game so I could have this podcast with you and vice versa. So you got it. To the victor go the spoils. But we will end it, too, of course, with talking about A&M's situation now as we enter the postseason. But let's talk about...
That's why I said a lot of fans were like, I don't know if I can listen to this podcast anymore. Just skip this one. If it's going to upset you, skip this one.
Forward.
And you'll get to hear more about A&M playing in the playoffs.
Or just fast forward to the end, and then remember that moving goalpost and retweet or delete are coming up too. So there'll be a segment there where you're going to probably really want to listen, and we'll hear about the impact of the loss on A&M's playoff seeding situation and where that might go. But for now, let's talk about the game. Like I said, really impressive second half. Texas in a rivalry game, gets the win. And when we started this podcast, we knew somebody was going to really enjoy this show. So I'll let you have the floor to start.
I think my biggest thing is it'd be one thing if Texas was having a similar season to that of last year. I think the general pride of the fan base really needed this one. At the end of the day, it doesn't hurt A&M long-term as far as college football playoffs go. Like you said, it'll adjust seeding a bit. But this was a pretty rough year for fans from what they have expected. And to say a rough year, a 9-win season is a rough year for Texas, that's a great place to be compared to where they were 10 years ago when 5-win seasons were a rough year for Texas.
Yeah.
And I like Colin Simmons posted an Instagram, I think yesterday, and his quote was, "It wasn't the season I wanted, but it was the season I needed." It was a season to, not everything's going to come easy and you're going to have those bumps in the road, but you get a win like this And it kind of gives you that belief again of like, this is what this team is capable of continuing to grow, especially going into next season where Texas really doesn't lose that much. There's really not a lot of turnover pending what happens with the transfer portal. But I mean, Sark has proven, the one thing Sark has proven, which I'll be intrigued to see if this continues, there hasn't been much turnover as far as losing players to the transfer portal. He retains his talent well.
Yeah.
There's not a bunch of people just bailing out. They
No.
buy into the program.
Yeah.
So that's promising moving forward.
Well, you touched on something interesting there. Or I guess Colin Simmons did. It's an interesting, I was thinking about this earlier when we were prepping for the show, and I was like, how do Texas fans and not decision making, I'm not saying there's a decision to make, but like, how do fans, former players, big donors, everybody like view this season? And it's a very hard one. If I'm sitting here looking at it saying, man, if I was on that side, it would be really hard to kind of gauge how I felt, because on the one hand,
you can't be overly disappointed. You beat both your rivals. You beat the hell out of both your rivals.
But you also were preseason #1 and had dreams of a national title, and you didn't dispute that ranking. Like, everyone was on board on the Longhorn side thinking, we're going to make a run at this thing this year. We're going to go into Ohio State, have a great chance to beat the Buckeyes, and if we don't, we might meet them again in the playoffs or for the national. So, like,
I mean, even after that win, not many people were super dejected because it was a 7-loss game to Ohio State. I don't think the real dejection came until after that loss to Florida, when you're like, what is going on here?
And then, so let me finish this one and you tell me. Like, preseason #1, and I don't want to hear from the Texas fans like, oh no, that was what fully embraced, fully believed. Absolutely.
I never fully embraced preseason #1, so don't sit here acting like every single Longhorn fan was saying we should be I think you are leaning too much into everyone thought there should be preseason #1. No.
Okay.
Beginning of the season, everyone thought there were about 5 teams you could have put in that spot.
That is not true. Like, you did. Credit you. Most of your fan base and media that covers that football team, fully believed you're, let's just say this, a national title contender, and embrace that #1 ranking. And I'm insulting to then come back and credit. So don't get defensive on this. So that was one part of how this season will be defined, right? The other part is you beat Oklahoma by double digits. I almost don't even count Arkansas. It's a rival though, but you beat Oklahoma by double digits. You went out in your last game and you spoiled a lot of what A&M had.
The best A&M season in 30 years.
And you still beat them, and you beat them by 10 points at home in emphatic fashion. And you watched a quarterback that early in the year, not me, if we're going to do the not me thing, not me, not you, neither one of us gave up on the guy, but a lot of people did. A lot of people wanted to see the backup quarterback play against Vandy, and you watch this quarterback go from being too hyped too soon,
the biggest flop in college football,
per The Athletic, to evolving and coming out and beating both rivals, but coming out in his final game at home and really being the star of the game with his legs and with a couple of throws that were massive. And so that's how you're entering the offseason. So it's a weird deal, because on the surface you say, I hate it. I thought we were going to win the whole thing going in. But on the other side, you're like, man, I'm walking away from this really excited about next year and the future. So kind of a wild year for Texas. That's all I was getting at. It wasn't to shit on y'all for not living up to the #1. It was, I think it's like difficult to gauge, but I think I would feel really optimistic moving forward, which I wouldn't think you'd be able to say when you're preseason #1 and finish 9-3.
I mean,
it's weird.
Everyone can say what they want about the preseason one. There was a there goes my voice again. As Nacho like headbutt under my hand at the same time as I was saying,
your bruised hand? Is that your bruised hand?
Yeah,
too?
It's the bruised hand. There's a very large bruise on this hand. I accidentally whapped Peyton in the face when Michael Taft got the interception. You should see your nose. But anyways, you can say what you want about the preseason #1 thing. very easily Texas could have been preseason number 2 because
Yeah.
then you could have made an argument to have Ohio State. I mean, I probably would have made that argument instead just because I don't like the lore that comes with being preseason number 1. But there were a lot of other preseason top 10 teams, namely Penn State, Clemson,
Yeah.
LSU. You could have had a season like that. You
Yeah.
could have, after that Florida loss, it could have just gone off the rails from there.
Yeah.
The team found a way to respond and make and give fans something to be proud of and something to look forward to. Because I think knowing the lack of turnover that you're going to have going into the next season, it's pretty exciting. Especially, I think the biggest growth factor we saw was on the offensive line this year.
Yeah.
Trevor Gooseby had Cassius Howell in absolute hell, which is something I don't think you predicted.
No.
We talked about this before the game of just like the sack leaders in this game, who's gonna come out on top. And I think you were leaning pretty heavily into thinking that Howell would have an upper hand over this offensive line.
Yeah.
And that he was eating turf all night, unfortunately for him.
You know, Gooseby played really well. And like you said, the whole O-line, I thought that had to be their best. I know they beat OU too, but
And when the O-line plays well, look what happens with Arch Manning. He can use his legs. He has time to make decisions. He's comfortable in the pocket. And things start working out a lot better.
and there's a running game.
The run game. Yeah, the run.
That's the biggest thing.
I think that was my biggest surprise but I mean, Wisner has shown that he shows up for A&M.
Well, I was going to say Gooseby does, Wisner does, and there was a third one out. Oh,
Okay, they do the same thing for OU too. Wisner also showed up for OU, and we haven't really seen much of him since. So,
well, that was my biggest thing is A&M to me, their biggest weakness, and you talked about this a lot this year, and you kept asking me, how concerned are you? After the first 2 games, how concerned are you? UTSA and Utah State have had some long runs.
You weren't concerned about the run defense going into this game because there wasn't much of a run to defend except for that quarterback run and Wisner deciding to have the game of his year.
I thought that was the biggest difference in like what you expected versus what you saw. And the other thing was I thought the Texas A&M offensive line got beat for the first time. I think for a full game, that was the first time this year. Like, they had a terrible first half against South Carolina and then, like, a flawless second. Against Notre Dame, like, they didn't give up a sack and they scored 41 points. So even though, like, they did the better job. So this was the first game all year in 12 that I would say, hey, the A&M offensive line got outplayed.
I think you saw that in how Marcel Reed played. I mean, the best Marcel Reed played was with his feet.
Yeah.
Because he was struggling to get off passes. Casey Concepcion was probably the other best player on the offense for A&M. But the secondary was decided to show up this game. And, I mean, I kind of knew Michael Taft was not going to go down.
He's the other one. That's the other one I was going to say. 2 interceptions, 2 games against the Aggies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of Aggies have a lot of feelings about Michael Taft for one reason or another, but there was I can't remember what outlet just did a story on him about how he made JVB in high school his freshman and sophomore year, and he has just crawled from and you know how that feels if you've played sports, getting put on a B team when you think you should be on the A team, and you having these lofty goals of playing for a D1 program or going on to do this at the next level. And then he really had to crawl. And we saw him on after the game. He's not a super imposing guy. So to be an imposing guy in an SEC defense and be as impactful as he is at the size he is one of probably the best. I mean, I think probably the best walk-on in Texas football history at this point. He's been so impactful.
Yeah, I don't know the list. I'm sure like Daryl.
I don't know the list, but he's up there.
I'm sure Daryl K. Royal had a lot of them, but since I've been following A&M Texas,
best one I've seen in my lifetime.
He's got to be up there near the top. So yeah, I mean, you go from walk-on to an all SEC player, team captain. By the way, team captain on really good teams as well. It's one thing. Yeah, I was a team captain at Texas when they were going 5-7.
Yeah.
Versus I was a team captain on a national semifinalist team that played for the SEC title. So yeah, those dudes brought it. But I think the O-line thing. Well, I'll say this, Amanda, and we talked about it. Texas won the line of scrimmage on both sides, and that was why I said last year they decisively did that. I don't think it was as decisive, not even close to what we saw last year, but they still got the best of the battle in the trenches, and they had no chance to win, in my opinion, if they didn't do that. And over the course of the season, I would say the A&M O-line's been elite and the Texas D-line's been elite. The Aggie defensive line has played much better over the course of the season than the Texas O-line. That was not the case on Friday night.
Yeah.
So that, to me, was the biggest difference in the game. Because once Wisner popped a couple and you started exploiting A&M making bad run fits, and Texas said, okay, we can get this going. It got the crowd going. It put Arch in some more favorable down and distances, which takes even more of the pressure off of him. I mean, they had it working. And I honestly don't know, Atwell, how much everybody was saying halftime adjustments, both sides. We made, and our fans are going, we didn't make adjustments. I don't know how much of it was adjustments versus Texas just sticking to what they believed would work. And and again, one of the biggest plays has to be, and it was by yardage, but that early pop by Wisner, you scored 3 points in the first half. If you get the ball and punt it back to A&M.
Same thing with OU.
Yeah,
Scored 3
true.
points in the first half, came
That's
out
true.
second half blazing. And I think I will say one of the most frustrating things, just going back into like how Texas fans feel about this season in general, the most frustrating thing is that if this is a team that played Florida, Texas would have beat Florida handily.
Yeah,
If
for
this is a team that played Ohio State, you likely beat Ohio State as well. I still think Georgia would have probably been the better team, especially because that was a more recent game.
True.
Insane environment. Georgia was lights out that game. They are peaking at this point in the season, but I think Florida easily, and so it's like
The
could have,
Florida
should have.
one, yeah, the Florida one is the killer.
It's a different team than what was playing against Florida, that's just the nature of the game. It's
Yeah.
still a loss. You got to deal with it, but so it's frustrating knowing that you're looking at the college football playoff and OU will likely make it. You beat OU. They didn't score
Yeah.
a touchdown on you. A&M
Yep.
will obviously make it. You beat A&M.
Yep.
Vandy's ranked ahead of you. You beat Vanderbilt. So that's pretty frustrating just as a fan. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and bang the wall saying that Texas should be in the college football playoff because it's a privilege. You have to win the games that you're supposed to win. And, I mean, you can go into the argument that they shouldn't be playing Ohio State, which, I mean, my tunes kind of change on this. I think this year you need to be playing teams like Ohio State when you're in an 8-game SEC conference
Yeah, I agree.
schedule. Going into the 9-game schedule, it might not make as much sense anymore.
It's fair. I think that's a great point. You wonder, it's going to be really interesting to watch and say, did Sankey and the SEC misstep by getting pressured, I feel like, by the rest of the conferences in country to go to 9 games? And it's funny because you guys were on the other side of this in the Big 12, like, hey, they only play 8. And now we're all starting to, and OU fans see it too. We saw a couple of them yesterday before we were sitting there in the Fairmont or whatever. Yeah. And you realize now, like, man, these are really freaking difficult 8 games. But now it's 9. So my thing is, I don't think Greg Sankey gets outplayed. I don't think he gets beat in the high stakes games. I believe that they are going to start doing a better job of handling these selections and these committees in terms of strength of actual schedule versus, like, I saw someone try to say, hey, BYU schedule's tougher than A&M's. Let's look at their resumes. And I'm like, come on, dude, put them beside each other and let's really see. Because Mississippi State's beating an Arizona State team that's sitting there creeping in the top 20
I think two of the SEC teams that are going to get left out of the playoffs could beat over half the teams in the playoffs. Texas likely going to get left out of the playoffs and has beat multiple teams in the playoffs, which is just how it's going to go.
Yeah, and Texas, I think, I don't think they have a gripe. They have a case. I know I would be shouting from you always tell me, like, if this happened, so if put it on me, I'd be saying A&M. I'd be saying A&M should be in. Now, I'm not saying this because I'll be perfectly honest with you right now. when we were joking yesterday about, man, what if Texas comes to Kyle Field and plays him? I actually would embrace that matchup because
I love that.
it would
That'd be
be
so
the
much fun.
biggest thing ever where one team's season is over. And quite frankly, it's the only way in 365 days that you can ever avenge that loss would be to come beat them 3 weeks later on your home field and end their season. And if they beat you twice, I'm not sure if it feels any worse. And then you go, man, it's Texas A&M's Georgia are the Longhorns to A&M what Georgia has been to the Longhorns. I would embrace that opportunity for that type of rematch because of how epic it would be. So I'm not rooting against, but I just don't think, it's not as simple as saying we'll just beat Florida, right? But it is like, yeah, you lost 3 times. That has to matter. And yes, your schedule is tougher, but this stupid system doesn't factor things. I don't feel like they go deep enough as some fans could. I feel like the selection committee, they should put a lot more thought and conscious effort into selecting the right people and not just selecting a bunch of people. When I watched Ward Emanuel last year and I watched Mac Rhodes this year and Hunter Yurachek, I'm sorry, they sound, and I think those are intelligent men for as far as I know, they sound like complete dipshits. When they're asked questions, like, I don't cover all of college football every week. I watch it. I'm a fan talking about it. I could do a better job of fielding those questions on the fly than those people do. And that's what the committee puts front-facing to the world. And they're awful. They are awful at explaining their process and logic and reasoning. So who knows? Maybe that's why Texas can get in because they're that bad. But to me, I look at the way they're doing it and I say, I'll give you an example, Amanda. LSU. So A&M and LSU, right? No one on that committee will mention Texas A&M's win over LSU anymore. You won't hear them bring it up. LSU finished 7-5. When they played them on the road, LSU was 5-2 in the top 15. They scored 49 points in Death Valley, ran them completely out of the stadium without their head coach and without their starting quarterback. They just went into Norman against another playoff team, and that game was 10-10 with a couple minutes left. OU kicked a field goal to win it late. It was 10-10, right? LSU turnover on downs there with a chance to actually steal the game. They went into Tuscaloosa against another playoff team in Alabama. That game was 17-9, an 8-point game late in the fourth quarter. So, yeah, the LSU win, unlike the Notre Dame win that aged well, the LSU win did not age well. But when people are evaluating A&M, they're throwing away, it feels like, the LSU win and how they did it without going, let's compare how A&M did against this team who even, Bama and OU scored 30 combined points against the team at home. A&M went and scored 49 on the road.
I mean,
so they don't
you can talk a lot about
enough.
OU too, because a lot of the OU people have been talking about how hard their schedule was. Okay, yeah, their schedule was hard if you looked at it going into the season. But now let's look on it in hindsight. How excessively challenging was the schedule was in hindsight? Because yes, you can qualify certain wins as top whatever wins, but you look back, you can qualify LSU as a top 15 win, but LSU was not the team you thought that you were going to have a win over by the end of the season. And OU nearly gave it up to them at home, which is
OU's a weird one because they.
But you also have their other wins, Mizzou, Tennessee, which fraudulent from
Vandy. We've been saying that, and Vandy went in it.
Killed Tennessee. Barely won over Alabama. I'd say that's their best win. Scraped by there.
Yeah.
Beat South Carolina. Bad South Carolina team.
Michigan. It's
Michigan. And then they lost to Ole Miss, lost to Texas. Other games, Kent State, Temple, Illinois State.
OU's schedule was pretty. You know, like
it was not the
I get
hardest
it.
schedule in the SEC like a lot of people thought it would be. I'm not going to sit here and say it was easy because some are easy, some are. It was not the hardest schedule in the SEC like they thought it would be going into the season. It didn't turn out to be that way.
Yeah, OU. Here's what I feel about OU. They deserve to be in, but man, you go back and look, and I think they were very. It's weird. They're so good on defense, and their offense has been so bad.
On
They've been
paper,
fortunate.
they deserve to be in. If you're just doing an eye test, they do not deserve to be in. Their offense has been horrific.
Who do I think could advance further in this tournament? Texas. And they beat OU, and they're going to be left out. So, I mean, yeah, I'm with you on this 9-game thing, Amanda. Like, if you're gonna do that, it probably doesn't behoove you to play these games. College football has a real problem there where they need to figure out how.
So you want those good games. Those are what make college football great, and you want to play them, but not if they're going to work against you long term.
You spent all summer looking forward to Texas, Ohio State. I spent all summer looking forward to the trip to South Bend. Like,
I mean, I'm looking forward to Texas, Ohio State next year. Hosting Ohio State will be so much fun. But
yeah, you don't want those games to go by the wayside.
Yep.
You had fun Friday, and I did not. And we talked. You wanted to ask me how I'm feeling. What were you had some questions that we talked about for me in terms of like the A&M side of how I felt about that game.
Yeah, I'd say just what was this environment as a perspective from an Aggie? What were you expecting going into it, and what surprised you about it? What surprised you about the game, and what surprised you just about the experience at DKR in general?
Well, kind of talking about the game, a lot of it had to do with that Texas run game. Honestly, I felt like A&M had Texas where they want them at halftime. The Aggies have won a lot of games where they've come out in the third quarter and kind of imposed their will. And we mentioned that LSU game.
I felt comfortable. I felt good at halftime. I felt exactly like I did at the halftime at OU. I was like, you know what? They're going to figure it out.
And see, so did I. So did I. Because I was like, this is what we do. We were actually behind at LSU. We were actually behind at no, we weren't.
South Carolina.
No, we didn't play them this. Yeah, but them too. But we were behind at LSU. We were behind at halftime against South Carolina. It was 7-0 right before halftime against Missouri, and we scored with a minute left to make it 14. We were up 7-3 at the half to Mississippi State, scored 31 in a row. We were up 7 against Florida, pulled away in the second half. So Notre Dame, you were up by a little at halftime after being down by 10. So there was a lot of evidence, a lot of data points to say, okay, this is a good situation, especially when you saw how the Texas offense, I would have said at halftime, really all they've done is a couple scrambles by Arch, and that's pretty much it. And, man, did it turn. So, I mean, again, credit Texas. I know people want to see me on here making excuses and stuff, but at halftime I did feel good. As far as the crowd, I thought it was terrific, like the production element. It reminded me a little of like Tuscaloosa and the way Texas fans and Aggie fans know that. The way it's really well produced with the interaction of the giant scoreboard. I still hate the Longhorn in the end zone. I think that takes away from what it could be.
I mean, we even call it kind of we're sitting near the
uterus. It's not an expletive.
That's what I think me and Peyton text you. I think we're sitting in the uterus this game.
Yeah. I don't like that. I feel like you could have more noise over there. No, I don't.
Yeah, I think that the architecture there was a little interesting.
But I love the atmosphere. And my one complaint would be this. The speakers are so loud down there. So what I don't know is how they sound going into the crowd.
They're not so loud in the crowd.
But down on the field, they're so loud that it almost, I hear that way more than I do. And it's not a complaint like, oh, unfair, but it makes me hear the crowd less. And so that's kind of where I'm like, guys, I'm like, shut up. Quit yelling into the. So that was, but otherwise, I thought it was an electric environment.
Maybe they're pumping crowd noise into the speakers.
No, I don't think they definitely. Yeah, I remember that from that those allegations last year. But I think it was just music and that DJ guy.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, we need. So, what else?
I did have one other question for you. So one of the biggest responses I think I've seen from Aggie fans is it doesn't matter, we're still in the playoffs. What is your take on that kind of response?
It's right and it's wrong. It's completely wrong to do the it doesn't matter.
It just gives exponential level of coping.
Yeah, it's stupid. The way you can't say it like that. You can say that sucked. I'm frustrated about it. I'm pissed off. You never like to lose to your rival. You don't like to lose a game, period, much less to a rival. You know, like that's where you and I come in. Like you make people really mad in our fan base, and I've tried to tell you. Like,
if you are offended easily, do not look at any of my mentions over the last week because I mean, it had quite. I feel like I had filtered out a lot of the really like just awful ones.
I think people are starting to realize though that you're
the people that like us from both sides have all been really cool either way, but there were some people in just the most unhinged.
Yeah, I saw it.
My boyfriend got a text message from some of his friends. They're like, did you see what this person said about you? And Amanda's response.
Yeah. And you see all the time what they say about me. And it's just like, you know, part of me, this is the wrong way to think it, you know, part of you goes, man, how could you talk like that to a female, to a woman? And it's like, yeah.
Well, they wouldn't say it to my face.
No, they would. You might actually punch them. They don't know you quite well enough. But
they also carry, so they might not want to say that.
On the other side, they say the same stuff about me. So like I was going to say, you piss off a lot of the Aggies and I piss off a lot of the Longhorns. It's just the way it is. But the people that are really enjoying the show know that
people that have a normal sense of humor as well.
Yes.
Just have a normal sense of humor. Know that when you win and the other team loses, you're going to be bragging. You're going to be happy about it. I'm not sitting out here saying personal awful stuff to rival fan bases. I'm saying, I'm happy my team won. You tweeted this stupid thing a couple months ago. I'm going to bring it back up because it was stupid.
Yeah, no question. And this is why you don't want to lose, because conversations like this that we're all having, and it does matter. I mentioned earlier all the things that were on the line there. But the reason that if you say it the right way, you say, yeah, it's a big freaking deal. It ain't about that.
All framing.
It ain't about that ugly trophy they hold up. It's about the whole thing. It's about.
You could have had an undefeated season.
It's about the trash talk and backing it up. Who does, who doesn't, you know?
And now you got to suffer this for the next 365 days.
It is.
And you got to look at memes like that guy holding how many days it's been since A&M beat Texas in football in the stands.
And you got to hear the people you like.
Stuff like that.
You got to hear the people you like. You got to hear the people you don't like for a whole year. So, yeah, it freaking matters. And I'll tell you what I liked. I told people I had no problem with Texas. Like, I don't like seeing DJ Campbell stomp on an A&M jersey, but I always go, what would A&M have done had they won the game? You know, so it's like your competitors, both sides talk a lot. They talk during the game, they talk before, they talk after.
What'd you think about the Mike Elko video aboard?
It's fine. Like
I think Elko set himself up for that. He's got.
I don't think he cares. Like if you care, you just go, man, I want to beat these. Fuck. Yeah. You're like, I want to beat these MFers.
They can't do that if you beat them. That video would have never played. It would have just sat in the draft.
It makes you dislike them more, your rival, not the people.
I did see something that was so funny. I saw this on.
By the way, I'm now out of water. I'm resorting to.
Oh no. I saw something on TikTok before I got on here. It was so funny. It was a girl complaining about the student who ripped the stuffed Rev head off in the stands and was just like holding the stuffed Rev head, acting like it was the most insane thing she's ever seen. She can't believe they disrespect. And I'm like, it was a plushie. It was a stuffed animal. There was Barstool Aggie posted a picture of a decapitated live Longhorn before this game.
That's absurd.
It was disgusting.
That's weird.
And you're
I
going to
didn't
get
see that.
upset about a stuffed animal in the ground? Like, come on, it's a
Listen,
rivalry game.
listen,
The Longhorn thing was weird. Like, why are
do
you posting a dead animal online that's had their head chopped off? I mean, I understand it's cattle, it's different, but you don't just post dead animals online.
yeah. Do what you do. If you're Texas players, if you're the social media teams, the in stadium stuff, it's just college football today. I'm not a big fan of it. Like when Texas or A&M volleyball beats the other team, and like there's like trash talk from the social media admins, or football or basketball, like
it gets fans engaged.
yeah,
So what?
I get it. I don't like it, and that's old man yelling at clouds. But I it's like whatever. Like you can't.
Yeah.
Everybody does it now, so that didn't bother me. Again, I'll tell you what I did like. By the way, someone said Marcel didn't go shake Arch's hand. That's actually not true.
I think.
That was a
Well, I rewatched the highlights. So I was trying to see who I saw. I saw Wingo go shake Marcel's hand, but then they cut off, so I didn't see.
I was standing right next to Elko and Arch talking. Like, it's not about, like, I was talking to Malik during the game.
Marcel and Arch are like friends. I think and maybe not close, but like they know each other.
And you want to beat their ass. But I was sitting there with Malik talking about it, and he's like, man, the older I get, the more I realize, like, this stuff doesn't matter. Like, the burnt orange, maroon and white, it's just the friendships and the relation, and it's fine. And that is true. Like, it's just like we always talk about. But in that football game, it freaking matters. And so, yes, that's BS if someone says doesn't matter, still going to the playoffs. But it's not BS to say shake that off, because that does not define your season. That was one game out of 12, and it was the biggest in terms of eyeballs and like having to wear it or brag about it.
I do have one question along the same vein. How does it feel? How do you feel? I feel like this probably would have been even the more disappointing factor of it, whether you care about this game or not, missing the SEC championship game and still not having the opportunity to play for a title, even when you had a season where you could have probably gone in and potentially beat Alabama.
Yeah.
Georgia's pretty dang tough. So,
but you wouldn't have had Georgia. You'd have had Bama.
Yeah.
So
Bama. And just still having have not gotten, I'm not trying to clown you here, but like that was on the table of we're going to get to play in our first SEC championship game ever. I feel like that part also has to sting, even if people are saying like we don't need to play these championship games anymore.
100%. I said that to you prior. I said that to any Aggie I talked to, friends, people on the streets.
Because now Texas can also turn around and say, well, we've still played in an SEC championship game and you haven't.
Well, they can, but think about this. You also kept us out 2 years in a row. Had A&M won last year, they're rematching in a week. So this one hurt more, though, because, well, I take that back, because if the Aggies would have won last year and gotten in, then of course they would have felt like they had a chance to beat Texas a second time a week later. So, yeah, 2 years in a row, you've kept A&M out. But this year especially, I wanted to see the Aggies go there. I wanted to see them potentially win it. I know we'll talk about a silver lining, even though I don't want to call it that, because that, I'm not looking for a silver lining.
I can tell you a home playoff game is a fun thing to look forward to.
Yeah.
There's no shame in calling that a silver lining and being able to look forward to that. Because it's cool to host a playoff game at your home field. And you thought you didn't get any more games at Kyle Field, and now you get another one.
So
just don't lose it, because that would not be fun.
No, hell no. So your first question on our list I thought was interesting. I think it was a good question. You're looking at your little run sheet right there.
Oh, yeah.
That to me was an interesting one, the way you phrase it, and it's a good topic.
Because that's what a lot of people are talking about. Was this, I'm not going to say it's your first time being tested ever by a higher caliber. I think Notre Dame was still a good opponent. I don't know what to say about many of your other opponents this season. But do you think they were caught off guard at all by the quality of opponent they were facing compared to some of these other teams in the SEC that they've been playing most of the season, or do you think it was just?
I don't think that. I think because I mean, again, look at how it went through the first 30 minutes. It wasn't like they came out. I think Texas just played better Friday night. I think if these teams played a bunch of times, it'd actually be the way they've both been playing. I think it'd be fairly even. A&M's had the better season for a reason. Part of it is
more consistency.
Yeah, there you go. Part of it is the schedule it's been a little easier. Not a lot, but it's been a little easier. It's like definitely a full game easier because of Georgia. It's definitely a full game easier.
And because LSU wasn't the opponent you thought you were getting at the beginning of the season.
But I think, here's what I was going to say about, I think Texas, they played Mississippi State even. They lost to Florida. Those are teams A&M played. They both played Arkansas. They both scored a lot. A&M gave up a little more. One was home, one was road.
It is. I will also put in Texas is much healthier now than they were for some of those earlier games, which
Texas has gotten better
it
for
plays
sure.
a factor. I mean, if y'all had Le'Veon Moss, you might have had a little bit more of an exciting run game.
We'll talk about that in a minute because
Texas has meshed better. They figured out what they were. They moved so many pieces around on that offensive line to find something that worked. They have found what works. So, I mean,
are the fire flood people going to be quiet now for the offseason?
I think they might shut up now. These, I wish these adjustments came a little bit earlier in the season, but also there were some offensive line members that were injured earlier, like Connor Robertson was out for a bit. So, I was just getting healthy and then finding a way to play consistently and get better.
So, to your question, I don't think it was so much of playing a higher caliber opponent. I think they played a team on the road that played better than any of, and probably like on that Saturday, right? On that Saturday, that's the best team they've played since Notre Dame. I'll still say Notre Dame's really freaking good, man. That was CJ Carr's first start against Miami. And were it not, I think Notre Dame would be sitting at, and then you could say if they didn't, forget about the holding call. I'm so annoyed that people on actual national college football people bring that up. If you know a damn shit about anything college football wise, there's misholdings on every play. The problem is when you call a non-hold. My problem is when you call a non-hold. That's where I get pissed when that's holding. No, it's not. But anyway, had they not had a bad snap against A&M for an extra point, that's going to overtime. But if it weren't C.J. Carr's first start, I think they beat Miami. They're 11-1, and they're probably going to jump the loser of Ohio State, Indiana, to be the number 2 seed in this tournament. I think that's how good they've looked. So they face that level of competition. But Texas, I think when you combine the talent and the atmosphere and just it was the toughest test for A&M. Look, going to Death Valley and playing a team ranked a little higher than where Texas was on Friday night.
I don't think it matters where they were ranked. They sucked.
Well, but they didn't suck any worse than Texas sucks, which neither one of them did at the time, right? Like Texas was playing good ball.
LSU is not a good team.
They're not. They're not. But at that time when they played, it's just like Florida's trash now, even though they just beat Florida State. But Florida's trash now. When A&M played Florida, they were flying high. They had just beat Texas.
What about when Texas played? Yeah, when Texas played Florida, they played their best game of the season.
Exactly. So my point is,
I don't think LSU played their best game of the season against A&M.
They couldn't have because they got their shit kicked. It wasn't, and that was A&M's best game. Notre Dame's pretty damn good too. But what I'm saying is,
I'd say Notre Dame was more impressive
when A&M played LSU, it was similar. But the Aggies ambushed LSU coming out of halftime. And again, they were a top 15 team that everybody around the country said if they beat A&M, they're going to have a real good shot at SEC title.
I don't know if the narrative was quite that at that point. I think LSU fans were getting pretty frustrated with Brian Kelly at that point.
Well, they fired him the next
Exactly.
day.
I don't think anybody was flying super high on. I think you're thinking about a week or two prior as to when everybody was
that's
flying
fair.
high on LSU.
But who had they lost to by that point? They had lost to
I was
Ole
about to
Miss
say, I
close.
think you're like 1 week behind.
They lost to Ole Miss close.
Yeah.
And they lost to you're exactly right. They lost to Vandy close the week before. Yep. And so it was the Vandy A&M double up. But my point is that the A&M LSU was supposed to be a test per everyone because the night game in Death Valley, and they were still. And then A&M shut the door on them. What'd you say? Turn the lights out? They were unable to do that against Texas, and Texas got momentum. They were a more confident team than LSU coming in. So I think it was A&M's toughest test without question. I don't think it's questionable since Notre Dame. And, so I don't know. You might be onto something in that, it's just like, hey, you've been better. And it's not an insult to say, A&M, you've been better than all these teams you've been playing, and now you're getting a real test. Not the unexpected shock of South Carolina, but this was different.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes forward into the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And I will say, following up on what did I say after who did y'all play? UTSA?
Yeah.
That was my biggest concern for A&M.
The run defense?
Yes.
Yeah, you did. You did. And you were right. And it was I got to remember this, and you too, like when we watch these early games, you have to kind of sit there and try to discern.
Things can be sticking points.
Are they sticking points, or are they something you think can be fixed pretty easily? And in hindsight, like when you gave up a lot of big rushing plays the year prior and you start the season doing it again, and look, Missouri had some long runs in that one. It didn't kill them. LSU had a couple long runs in that one. It didn't kill them. South Carolina, Mississippi State, like all these games you did see. Arkansas had I think maybe one on the first play or first, kind of like they did to y'all. And you can't be just like whistling past the graveyard. You can't ignore the elephant in the room. And in fairness, you pointed that out and stuck with it. And I didn't think, though, to me, I didn't think it would bite them against Texas because of their lack of running game. I thought when they do lose, and I still am concerned about this, when their season does end, my feeling is that it's going to be in a game where an opponent runs for huge chunks of yards against this defense. And so, you called it early, and it was something that never it's been masked at times, and they've kind of danced around it. And even against Texas, it's a wild stat. Wisner was dumped 5 times behind the line of scrimmage. That's a lot. To do that and then run for 155 is a pretty wild difference there. It's a pretty interesting dichotomy to say, 5 times on how many carries he got the ball and lost yardage. Probably 20. What is he? 19. 5 of his 19 carries were for loss. So his other 14 were actually for like 170 because it wasn't, you were taking out so it is. You were right if that's what you're wanting me to say.
I just wanted to check in.
Yeah. Well, and you also, the other thing we talked about, the most heated debate we've probably had on this show, you're definitely getting the last laugh on, after that game. As much as this is paining me to even bring it up, but you caught heat for it.
After you have watched your team suffer a loss to a team like Florida, it deserved some happiness. I'm sorry it came at your expense. Only kind of, not really.
I know. But our defensive discussion, when I was pretty emphatic about you needing to be concerned about the defense and them needing to be elite, and I thought, and here's what you said. You said, if I was you guys, that would be the least of that is the one thing you should worry about actually most is our defense. So you were saying I would not be worried about Texas's defense. Now, it's interesting because for the last few weeks, I've thought that I was going to ultimately get the best of that
capitalize
exchange.
on that.
Or just even when it was
But Michael
between me
Taft
and you.
says no.
Well, I think it was. I think it was Colin Simmons in that front and left out, like the way he played, flying around everywhere at linebacker.
Okay? One, you don't have to see Ethan Burke ever again. Does that make you happy?
Yeah, he's a good. I've always thought he's a good player. I wish when they flipped him from Michigan.
You don't want to play against him though.
No, they're.
But you do have to see Colin Simmons again, most likely.
One more year, damn. One more year, that dude. He's a terror. Cassius Howell's been a terror. They're both going to be like first round picks. Colin Simmons, I think, could be a top 5.
Looking at our list of who Texas loses versus who they keep, there's not much that they're losing.
No, they're not.
Much as far as impact players that they're losing.
Cue up the preseason number 1.
I don't think it'll be a preseason number 1.
I have no idea.
I would rather not be. I didn't want to be preseason 1 last year. You don't want to have the target on your back for everybody in college football.
No.
I don't think anybody ever really wants to be preseason number 1.
My back.
I'd guess way too early preseason rankings, probably more in the 10 range.
I think they'll be a little higher. There's going to be a lot of arch hype this time, more deserved than last time.
I'll shoot 5 to 10.
I'm going to predict top 5. Question is, well, we don't want to even try to predict A&M's ranking because they lose a lot. They're going to portal a lot. But a lot of it, too, will depend on how do they finish here.
Elko has done well in the portal. So I think that's something that's at least a little reassuring for Aggies when you're losing a lot going into next year.
How do they finish? How does Marcel recover from this game? He's not. How's his ankle? It was his ankle, right? Yeah, I think he's fine. I think I was told I
saw another moving goalpost I saw was somebody saying Marcel was playing with a sprained ankle. It was a flub win.
He was running fine. I'm sure he's in pain, but he was running fine.
But he was half the run game.
And he continued to be after that injury. So I'll tell you what, man. You don't want to see that, and Texas fans were great about it. Nobody wanted to see
Marcel
I feel like everybody
was very respectful when he went down.
A star player on a non-contact injury, that was scary. It was right in front of me.
He didn't hit anybody, did he?
No, it was right in front of me, and I was sitting there going, man, is this the end of his season? And what a gut punch for Texas A&M in their best year ever.
The crowd went silent. Even Texas fans just went silent.
Yeah, and I was so happy when I was just talking to someone, and here he comes running by on a sprint, and cut, turn around, run. I go, oh, gosh, thank goodness he's back. Because, that would have been just a terrible way for, and I think for the season, and nothing against Miles O'Neal. Yeah. Marcel's had a tremendous season. He didn't have a tremendous game the other night. He's had a tremendous season. That would have been brutal. But, yeah, so A&M's ranking will depend a lot on what's upcoming. But like I said earlier, I think, this win really, really has to change the way Texas fans think about moving forward. Because I think there would have been a whole lot of disappointment had they lost 27-17.
Stark's seat suddenly feels ice cold.
Yeah, lost 27-17, 8-4. A&M celebrating an undefeated season on your field and second year under Elko. It's a pretty significant swing, I think, in terms of how you and your fan base feel today. And I say off season, it's not guaranteed. I know it's highly unlikely that they go in the playoffs.
I think there will be some riots in college football if Texas makes the playoffs, honestly. We'll see.
I think the path was yesterday. LSU.
The path was relying on it, and that's a place you can't get yourself into is when you have to rely on other people to to secure your path, because you got to keep things within your own control. the Georgia loss, I think regardless of this final score of the, like, whether it was close, whether it was far apart, it's just having the 3 losses next to your name. I think that was kind of like you have to be able to control what you can control, and it was no longer under Texas's control whether or not they get in. They had to rely on other upsets, and college football was relatively vanilla otherwise this weekend.
Can we talk about how damn close it was? I mean,
don't
LSU was inside the 40, and then
Alabama and Auburn, LSU and OU. I was like, well, this is just annoying.
Oh man, and I'm not even gloating because, like I said, A&M didn't do their part to keep Texas out, so I don't. Yeah. I have no. When you don't do your part, you could have ended all hope. They didn't, but yeah, I think a couple of a bad LSU offense and a fumble by Auburn's best player. Pretty much ended it. So I guess you want to, before we wrap up, talk about the outlook. You kind of talked about Texas's argument, and I do think they have one. I just understand why they're not going to get in. I don't know, that I think there's a whole. I argue for the SEC on a lot of these things, and I don't typically argue for Texas. And I won't here because, again, like you said, it's the Florida game too. But it's like, man, I just don't think this committee and these national media blowhards, I don't think that they accurately credit and gauge the difference in conferences at times and in seasons.
And just in quality of wins and losses.
Yeah, and it's just like,
not all wins are worth the same.
Like A&M might fall and end up behind Oregon, or Ole Miss might end up behind Oregon. Now maybe they should without Lane. We'll talk about that in a second. But why? Like, what is Oregon? Their best win? Is it on the road at Iowa? Is it who lost to Iowa State? Is it on the road at Washington, who's not good? Like, those are their best wins. Like, what are we doing? Why is it just? It's just because they value wins, and that's what Texas is falling prey to right now. Like 11-1 for Oregon. I think this Texas team would be 11-1 on that schedule. All they played, they lost to Indiana. That's.
I mean, I'd love some of it. I'd love Texas Tech's schedule.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing. Texas Tech, like
Texas Tech chatter is probably the funniest to me, of just them acting like they're the best in the state over Texas and Texas A&M.
No one has questioned the schedule. No one.
No.
I don't want to.
I'm not going to get into it too much because if we clip this and put it online, then those cacti are going to come calling.
I'm more concerned with the what wheat girl coming calling. That was after last week. I mean, see, I just did it again. Now it's going to, okay. The Tech thing. I think they're really good, by the way. But I still think there's a chance A&M plays them.
That would be.
By the way, but let's talk about something too about this Kansas State fan coming in my mentions. And Allison,
I need to go get some popcorn to sit.
You chimed in, and you chimed in, and you like sided with her over me. Your podcast co-host. You went in. What'd you say?
I don't even know what the argument was about.
She said,
I was just trying to get you going.
I've got Billy in hell right now, and you said that's a great place, or it's a fun place to have.
Because that's honest.
It was honest. Fine. You don't have to always have my back. You usually do.
I'm abiding by the Aggie honor code just for you. I don't lie, cheat, or steal.
Contrary, and I know this
That's what it is, right?
Yeah, and you're not having near as much fun as I thought, which makes me scared for what's coming up. But let's talk about outlook, round one for A&M. So they fell. None of this is for sure. I think people don't realize, like, metrically, A&M, you could really make a case they should be sitting at 4 still. Nobody would believe that. But if you look at all the, people go, look at their schedule. But if you look at all the metrics for their schedule.
They certainly dropped A&M a good chunk, and then Texas only raised 2.
What was the polls today? I haven't even looked.
Texas came in at 14. A&M, I think, was 6 or 7.
Okay.
7.
7,
think
yeah.
7. And then OU was right behind him at 8. I'm like, looking at Texas and or A&M and OU that close, I don't think they should be even close to this. I mean, I don't think OU should be ranked above us, but is what it is.
So here's the thing with A&M. The interesting thing for the Aggies. So they're going to fall out of the top 4. We know better than to think that the committee is going to go, oh, just look at them. There's going to be a element of like, hey, we watched that game. First time they'd been tested to that level in a while. We're gonna drop them. And again, it goes into that Tech thing because they're going to drop them behind it. It's really interesting. So what I think's happening, Amanda, if chalk holds, like let's just start by assuming Georgia's going to win, right? So like you said, A&M's getting a home playoff game almost certainly. I guess there's a world where they wouldn't. I don't think that we live in that where I think they'll get a home playoff game. I'm very confident in that. If Georgia wins, then I think your rankings look like Big Ten champ, Georgia, Big Ten runner-up. And then if Tech wins, probably Tech, which I would completely disagree with. Now here's where it gets interesting. Your 5, 6, 7 will almost certainly be in some form or fashion A&M, Oregon, Ole Miss, right? All 11-1. Who had the best win of those 3? It is close, but it's A&M. OU actually, or no, I'm sorry. Who had the best win of those 3? Ole Miss actually won at OU. A&M won at Notre Dame. By the rankings, pretty comparable. 2 10-2 teams, 2 top 10 teams. So what do you do with Oregon and their lack of a quality win? And what do you do with Ole Miss without Lane Kiffin? That is a massive thing for the committee to deal with this week, isn't it? Like, your coach that
you take into account that they don't have a head coach or
they say they do.
Anymore?
They say they do. It's like an injury. Like it would be like if Marcel got hurt,
an injured quarterback.
They would have docked A&M big time if he had a season-ending injury on that turf at Texas.
That makes it just even. I would be so pissed if I was a player.
So, yeah, we'll talk about that in a second before we close out. But yeah, so look at that, and 5, 6, 7 is going to be really interesting. And to me, there's a massive difference in being 5 or 6 versus 7. If you maybe bet my own money right now, I think A&M lands at 6. But I could certainly see 7, 5 maybe even. But here's the deal. 5, you play the group of 5 at home. Getting back to what we were saying before, Amanda got something in her eye and we paused.
We're in the clear.
The 6th seed, you're getting the ACC champ at home, Duke or Virginia. So I think, and then you'd get the 3, which probably Indiana. Probably. Again, it's all we have to go on right now. So Virginia, Indiana. I'm not taking anything away from those teams, but look at if you're the 7. Now look, remember Virginia, Indiana. Probably in the Cotton Bowl in Indiana. Now remember this one. Virginia, Indiana, or OU or Bama, probably. And then Ohio or Georgia. That would be likely because I think Alabama, if they lose to Georgia, or OU are going to be the 10. If A&M's a 7, you're going to have the Sooners or Crimson Tide at Kyle Field. And then if you win that, you get to go play Georgia in their home away from home in the Sugar Bowl. So there is a massive difference in A&M's like prospects and hopes between that 6 and 7 spot. And I'm not trying to make a joke like Yurachek here with the 6-7 thing, because I thought he looked like a complete fool for doing that. And I'm also not 19 or 12 years old, so like he seems to be. But, yeah, so I think A&M's got a really interesting Tuesday in front of them and then again the following week. So that's kind of the Aggies playoff situation now. And like you said, Amanda, like they could use getting healthy. And they have 3 weeks. You're going to get Le'Veon Moss back. Everyone's been waiting for that. Scooby Williams probably, their most active linebacker.
That
when
was
he's
another
healthy.
thing I saw people complaining about. We had all these players that are really good injured. It's like, haven't they been injured all season?
Yeah, it wasn't like they and A&M running backs behind Le'Veon have
These
done a
aren't
good
new
job.
losses.
Yeah, they've done a good. The running backs behind Le'Veon have done a good job, and Damian Sanford's coming in and done a good job when Scooby's out. So yeah, that wasn't like shock value. But I will say, Craver's been banged up. Ashton Bethel-Roman came out of the game and came back, but I saw him limping, walking pretty gingerly off the field. Concepcion limped off the field. Like, these guys.
That's what happens when you play. What was that tweet you had? A more physical team?
Why don't you're going to read it in a minute. You have them all on your text, so I know it's coming. But yeah, it is part of, like, it's been a long season, 12 games, and it's like, to get 3 weeks off, none of those injuries are like significant ones. So they're going to not only get the injured guys back, but you also, I think A&M being such a speed predicated offense with Bethel-Roman, Craver, Concepcion, Reed, like, getting them even more than healthy, just rested and fresh-legged again, I think you're going to see a much more active, explosive, playmaking team in these playoffs than they were kind of in the last few weeks down the stretch. So there is a silver lining, like you said, and it's a home playoff game. You did not want to lose to your Longhorns, though. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Now, before we do moving goalposts, let's talk about this coaching carousel real quick, because I know you had that. That's a good.
Yeah, I mean, this like all happened while I was driving back from Austin today. A lot of the stuff online about it, and I opened my Twitter. I was like, oh, this place is even more toxic than usual.
You did say what happens if Bama loses the SEC title game. Interesting, because there'll be a 3-loss. I just don't see, Amanda, in a world that they would drop Bama, even though they're not that high up. I don't think they would drop Bama out of the playoff
I think
field.
it would also depend on how the loss looked.
Maybe so, yeah.
If it was where they were just obliterated and embarrassed off the field, that'd be one thing. If it's a really good game.
I don't think that's even out of the question, what you just said, though. That's a good point. But if they just lose a run-of-the-mill, competitive game.
It's hard for me to see them beating Georgia, too, honestly.
I agree with you on that. I think Georgia's just playing a much better brand of football than everybody outside of Columbus,
I will
Ohio.
put my trust into Kirby, unfortunately.
Yeah, and so even though Bama has owned Georgia, I think that ends in that one. But if they lose, I think they still – actually, I think if they lose, there's a –
I think like Georgia has more of a reason to, like, just because Bama has been a chip on their shoulder. I think this is to get the monkey off their back game.
If they lose, they might go – they either come here or they might go to Oxford and play a Kiffinless Ole Miss as a 7-10. So – again, interested to see what the Kiffin thing does. So with Kiffin, so he's going to LSU. Hated the way he did it. Did you see the videos today of him getting on the plane?
Yeah, people screaming at him.
Screaming, cussing. I mean, this is SEC now. This is getting crazy
going
and
from one
contentious.
SEC team to another, and right before you're about to embark on a playoff run, like
Aggie fans did that to Slosh on like social media and I guess Venmo, but
that's one thing.
They weren't,
and
they weren't at the airport.
It's not like he was about to, like, the season was, because I believe the Schloss leak, like, that leaked before it was supposed to, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah. Kiffin, what Kiffin's done is it's just
awful.
It's despicable. It's disgusting. I think he.
I feel so bad for these players.
And they're confused.
Worked so hard for this, and now your potential playoff run is going to be damaged because your coach has been playing coy with other programs all season.
How about what he said to his coaches? If you don't get on the plane, you're not here.
Yep.
You couldn't let your offensive coaches go through the playoffs and give those kids a chance to keep continuity going?
I think there'll be some transfers coming out of Ole Miss.
Well, but here's the deal, man. They're all going to go, well, not all, but they're going to go with Lane to LSU. That's the other thing. For people going, oh, let him coach. Like all these college football talking heads that like kiss Lane Kiffin's ass, then they do. It's like they make him like some figure to be celebrated.
Blows stuff up at the end of just about wherever he is.
Yeah, and they have been the ones that have bought. Oh, he's into yoga. He's found his center. He's at peace with himself at Ole Miss. I don't think he's leaving now. My ass. Anyone with a clue knew that guy was leaving. The people in Oxford knew it all year. All year, they knew he's going to leave. But the media, for some reason, the national and the SEC media want to, deify this guy and make him like he's. I don't understand, because by all accounts, he's a man child. He acts like a petulant little kid, like talking to that OU player after, all of those things are just and none of it's like the end of the world, but it's just like, golly, man. But he's a hell of a football coach. But like you said, what has he won? And I think he knows. I think I can win at LSU much more so than I can in Oxford. But this dude, people that are in the national media saying, oh, college football universe, I think I lose respect for you if you sit there and say Lane Kiffin, the kids deserve it, and Ole Miss should just see it through. Let them try to win a national title. Oh, let a guy who says he's leaving to go to a conference rival stay, coach, continue the relationships and conversations.
And do they play in Oxford or at Death Valley next year against each other?
That I don't know, because they're not.
They play each other next year. I think they play in Oxford next year.
But you know what I'm saying? He's going to be in the building. You don't think he's just going to be recruiting for LSU while you're in this playoff run? Sorry, man.
Yeah, they needed to get him out of there.
Yeah, I agree. I feel for Ole Miss on this one. But I think they did the right thing. So you've got.
You don't want them sitting there convincing all of the players at Ole Miss to leave to go to LSU.
Yeah, so they're promoting Pete Golding. I think they can keep players with them. I think they're hoping to get some Edo energy out of this one. I don't see it. I think he's short term.
Yeah, LSU plays at Ole Miss next year.
Wow.
That is a game that does not have my team, and I would love to go to that.
Yeah, you would. You'd be a problem at the Grove, by the way. Have you ever been there?
The Grove is on my list. We play Ole Miss sometime. I can't remember if I think we go to the Grove not next year, but the following year. Okay. And that's on my travel list. Death Valley is my travel list next year.
Definitely got to do that. So here we go. Auburn, Alex Golish. I think a substance over style hire for them. I think that's solid. Arkansas, Ryan Silverfield.
There's going to be a protest, apparently.
Yurachek, he's too busy worrying about his next 6-7 joke to make a hire that the fans sign. They're looking to. I think they're looking to Mark Stoops this thing. I don't think they're going to be able to. But Silverfield out of Memphis ironically beat Arkansas this year, but the Razorbacks are not excited or impressed, right? And then Florida, I love the John Sumrall hire, and the Florida fans are pissed because it's another small level Louisiana school hire, just like Napier was. But I think this is a different deal.
They wanted a big swing type hire.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, this goes to show you, the big swings are hard to get. So out of Auburn, Arkansas, Florida, and Ole Miss, 4 schools in the SEC, and I think Penn State, too, still doesn't have anything, right? Those 5 are not going to get big names, and the only one that did was LSU and Kiffin. So of these 6 jobs that people respect, I think only one of them is going to get what we would all consider a big name. So it's not easy. It's very difficult to do. I think that's all we had there. So then the question, let's get on to your moving goalposts, and this is the Christmas early for you in terms of the retweeting.
I mean, honestly, you didn't really have all that many. Most of my bookmarking done for this game was other fans who have not learned from your mistakes and who have just spewed stuff. My favorite one from you, though, is I believe it was right after I had Grok do a summary of the context around this tweet for me.
Oh, wow.
And it said it was right after the LSU game where the Aggies overcame a halftime deficit through a strong second half execution led by quarterback Marcel Reed.
True.
Oh, and they have a description of you as well. Billy Liucci, a veteran Texas A&M football journalist, attributes the win to Coach Mike Elko's emphasis on mental and physical toughness, a recurring theme in the program's turnaround under Elko since his 2024 hiring from Duke.
All right, Grok.
So the tweet was, Elko's team is just tougher than yours, mentally and physically. Sometimes it's just simple as that. I think your miss here was saying Elko's team is just tougher than LSU or than the teams you have played. Because I think that's what makes it retweetable.
Well, it just made it. I do think that tweet was legit when it was said, and I think it will travel, over the years of his tenure.
We're not tougher on Friday.
No, and that was what it sets up, because it sets that up for whether it was Texas or whether it was in a playoff game, like especially though for it to happen against y'all, it set that up. So, but I will say this, because your ass got like over 2,000 likes on it when you did the little
2.6 thousand. I just did the little peace signing next to the grave pic. That one did not have my most likes of any retweet. It did I think the most likes from the weekend was the Cassius Howe believer tweet where he said he's coming Arch, and it's a video of Howe.
Yeah, with LSU.
And my response was, did he get the wrong address? And that one got 3.7 thousand likes.
Yeah, people were fired up this weekend, and it is funny to me. By the way, I did say in that tweet that you just read, I did say sometimes.
Oh, we have another one from you though.
I did say sometimes.
It was should have waited until after Texas, which will be A&M's fourth top 25 road win of the season.
What were you gonna say? What are you gonna say?
My quote tweet was would have, could have, should have.
Oh,
it's the Taylor Swift lyric. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that was a Swift lyric. Woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yeah.
So yeah, I actually that makes it worse. I don't like getting quote tweeted
Taylor
by
Swift
you with Swift lyrics. That's not
a very sad
cool
song, so it might help right now.
I like Taylor. I'm a fan. I don't like being quote tweeted there. But yeah, that
I'll send you the Spotify link for the song if you're interested in it.
You love hitting me. First I was the Chihuahua purse Chihuahua, now this. You sent me.
This is probably one of her most depressing songs as well. So if you need something to cry to, this is probably a good option.
What was the TikTok one you sent me one day where it was like the ocean and it was like a Swift lyrics of something? It was after. Gosh, what was that song? Because I kind of liked it. That's why I'm asking you.
Oh, another video I sent you was a recap of the game to Father Figure by Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
That's one that you probably wouldn't love being related to your team either.
Listen, I've discovered the song was, in fact, Father Figure that you sent me.
That's
back
who's
then.
your father figure?
Father Figure, a George Michael song as well, if you're talking somebody my age. All right, so what else did you had a couple more that you sent me that were good. You know what? Like, I feel like you've gone super easy on me today. This is growth. I think you're just really happy.
Well, I don't want to lose half our fan base in one show.
I think you're also happy. You're in a good, for once, like, you're not defensive and like this year, like you're in a good mood. And
not having to go to bat for my team.
Yeah, you just like let the play speak.
Here's one from November 24th. Texas has produced one touchdown in 4 of 8 games versus Power 4 competition this year, and they've lost 3 times. Went to overtime with 2 of those bottom feeders you're referencing as well. Just stop. Well, out of one more team we scored against touchdowns against Power 4 opponents go.
It's 5 of 9. It's 5 of 9. But yeah, and by the way, I was thinking about that at halftime because I was like, man, they still haven't scored. Like, and you know what's crazy? I just thought of this. A&M, Texas in those 2 games, 17-7, 27-17, you went the second half in College Station and the first half in Austin and scored 3 combined points in 4 quarters. Doesn't matter. Won both. But it is crazy.
Because of that defense that you said we should be so concerned about. This sweet one is good. This is good too. October 1st. Last year's Texas team proved they were real when they came to Kyle and won, and then in the playoff. And real teams also tend to turn home field advantage into a massive edge. Would you say Texas turned home field advantage into an edge last night?
Can't deny it.
Friday night. Excuse me. Weekends running together.
You relived it last night. Can't deny it, Amanda. Cannot deny it on that one. They definitely turned that into an advantage for sure. And A&M kind of wore that as a badge of honor that they cleared out Death Valley. They cleared out Missouri early, and they were that was kind of like a rallying cry. They didn't clear out Notre Dame because it was the last second game.
I mean, there were a lot of Aggies there. I was sitting in the A&M section, and there was a good amount. I mean, even I wasn't sitting in the A&M section. I was sitting like 32 was the A&M section. I was 31. So I had the bleed over of Aggies, and there was a good amount, and they were loud. I'll give them that because I feel like I didn't really get a good scope of how loud the stadium was because I was sitting around a good majority of the Aggies that were there. I was also right in front of the Aggie band, that was another cool note. I've never been to a Texas A&M game before, so it was the first time I've seen the Aggie band live.
Oh yeah, what'd you think?
It was really cool. Like, I mean, it's different from any other like band. Like, I love the Texas band. I think they do a really good job, but it's a different kind of just performance they put on. So I thought that was really cool. And I really wish I went to Kyle Field last year just because I've never seen Kyle Field at its full potential.
Well, you'll have to come next year.
But I will say the jacket I was supposed to wear to this game, a beautiful leather burnt orange jacket, it arrived on Friday in Dallas.
Oh, wow.
And it was supposed to arrive on Wednesday, so I didn't get to wear it. So guess I have to come to Kyle Field next year and wear my burnt orange jacket.
There you go.
That I purchased for this game.
Well, and hopefully Texas will not make it 3 for 3 in the SEC in that one. But speaking of SEC, I guess I still find it comical as you're reading those tweets, by the way, that like that is why, like for the listeners right now, like, do you guys think I'm stupid? Like, don't answer that, some of you. But do you guys think I'm stupid?
Do you want me to answer that?
Yes. Go ahead.
No, I only think you're stupid sometimes.
Okay, perfect. And I am.
I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels that way.
I think the better word is I act stupid. I certainly pop off.
I wouldn't even call it
stupid.
stupid. I would say maybe just a little bit
Cocky.
happily oblivious.
Yeah. Blissfully.
Or overtly optimistic.
Okay. I'll take that.
Maroon goggles.
Sometimes.
Well, you get a few too many wins under your belt, and you kind of you start to lose discernment a little bit until you just got to be humbled again.
It took a while, but it finally got us this year.
Which is confusing to me because my team has not been good for a very long time up until like 2023. So I don't know, maybe some of us just have embraced the discernment level a little bit.
A lot of us like ride the wave of momentum and you get swept up in it. And you're like, if I'm riding a surfboard, you're like the damn orca and that just comes up and boom, like every time I think I'm up and go, boom, there it is, and so I just think it's funny. You
can't surf in orca-infested waters.
That is true. And this show is orca-infested, and so is Twitter. My thing is, like, it's funny to me, though, that people really and truly thought, like, that I'm wild enough to watch A&M lose that game that way. Like, here are my options, guys, because so many of y'all, me and Amanda, were laughing about it.
Okay, I will say, I'm going to go on record and say this. Everybody was saying he was in hiding after the game and embarrassed to come out. Billy bought us all drinks at the Fairmont bar after the game and was a great sport and probably putting on a happier face than he really had.
Yeah.
But it was still a fun night. I feel like you still had a fun evening after the fact.
Absolutely. A whole weekend.
Yeah. So,
but it's a lot more fun when you win, obviously. But I did think it was funny. They were like, "You're in hiding." I'm like, "No." And we talked to 8 million Longhorns and Aggies all weekend, going right into last night. But it was funny to me It's like,
Oh, there was a Aggie at the bar that I'm standing there waiting at the bar, and he like recognizes me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to get that guy over there some drinks because you're talking off to other people. And he's like, I'm gonna go tell Billy to get up here so you don't have to wait at the bar. It was an Aggie.
oh yeah,
And
he did. He goes, how you getting her? I go, hey, you know what? For all the shit she causes me, it's the least she can do is to order the round of drinks for us. But no, look, I think it's funny though that they thought that I would, here were my options, guys, because we were sitting there on Saturday laughing about it because we're like looking at each other's phones going like, look at all these mentions. And it's like, here are my options. Lose 27-17 to your rival and go on Twitter and try to argue with the person that
you would have been in such a worse mood if you got on Twitter that night.
Well, but like they wanted me to go on there because what they wanted to do was see me like walk right into your crosshairs. They wanted to see me walk right in, get obliterated.
We're still going to the college football playoff, do that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I knew better. So now we're here. We had our fun. What else is fun now is let's make our pick. So I'm conceding. I'm going to tap out and concede defeat on this one. You've won the season. I won this week.
Wow.
Yeah, you won the season. So six wins for you, 4 for me, 3 ties for you on the week. So I can't catch up. We have one more week. Best I could do is make it 6-5 to 3. So you are the season champ. You picked better.
Are we going to create a trophy for this?
Maybe. I might.
Maybe I get a custom engraved bottle of Lacazette.
Amanda is the 2025 Pick'em champ. I did not want you to win that. I did not want you to pick the games.
I need to know what my prize is going to be, so you start thinking about that.
We'll think about it. And here's the thing that is still going, though.
I'm glad I won Pick'em because I'm definitely not winning fantasy. So,
but we're even now, dead
on
even
teams?
on picks.
Picks, okay.
We literally through the regular season tied to the number. So we're going to keep doing this, and we'll start. We may as well just start from scratch at 0-0. Whoever wins, we have championship weekend and then 11 playoff games. So
you might sound worse than me. Are you sure you weren't squealing on the sideline?
I was talking, and those damn speakers had me yelling the whole time. It was not
shocking.
squealing.
Billy was talking.
Yeah, I was talking a lot. So let's do these picks. So we have this weekend and 11 playoff games, and whoever wins that one too. So you might get 2 trophies. Let's start with I just did 5 this week. I don't want us just guessing. MAC champ.
Yeah, I'd rather
whatever.
not.
So let's look at your text. Start with the North Texas Tulane. Winner probably James Madison's in the mix, but winner probably in the playoff. Tulane, I think Summerall
losing their
still
coaches.
Yeah.
I'm going North Texas. Got to go my DFW. I'd like to see. It'd be cool if UNT got in the playoffs.
It would.
It's my brother's first college, so I'll go some UNT.
And who knows? Maybe playing A&M at Kyle Field. We'll see. But
that would be crazy.
I'm actually going to go Tulane in this one. I like the green wave.
Oh man, I have a friend that went to Tulane that's not going to be happy I picked against his team. That's okay.
Ohio State, Indiana, Big Ten title game.
Ohio State.
I'm going to go upset here. I think Indiana's been quiet. They haven't played anyone. Last time we saw them play a game that mattered, they beat the crap out of Oregon. I think Ohio State, this might be one of those deals where they lose it and still win the national title.
So I'm going to give you a long-term view of the thing that would make me the most happy of how this football season could end and how next football season could start is Ohio State winning the national championship, starting out as preseason number 1, coming to Austin and losing in next season.
Okay. I know what you're
That would be my, if I had to write the script, that is how I would do it.
Back-to-back national champs go down. I feel you.
Us preseason 1 going into Ohio State. Losing?
Yeah, poetic.
Give it right back.
Little full circle.
Revenge.
Duke, Virginia. Higher chance, I think, of the winner of that coming to Kyle Field. Duke, like the worst. They might be the worst playoff team ever if they win.
You can go first on that one. I mean, I'm going Virginia, I think.
I think I will too.
And it's at Virginia.
Yeah, I think I'll do.
Virginia.
Well, I don't think it's at Virginia. I think it's
It's not
wherever their
It
championship
said
game.
at Virginia,
Oh,
or
it's a
is it
home
at
game. It might be. I don't know how the ACC does it. They might have changed.
Bank
it.
of America Stadium?
That might be Charlotte.
Yes, Charlotte.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go Virginia as well. They've been a better team this year.
Yeah,
Okay.
I guess Virginia's probably just a home team.
All right. Tech BYU in the Big 12 title. And it's a rematch of the game they played in Lubbock.
I'm going Red Raiders.
I'm going BYU upset. And let me tell you why.
That stadium's going to be red.
What does that, if BYU and the Bear win that game, what does that do to the playoff picture? Because
I don't think it does anything good for Texas, so I don't know how much I care.
But it's going to but I think it knocks out OU, Notre Dame, Alabama, and it really might knock out Bama.
Well, then maybe I am cheering for BYU.
But it really might knock out Bama because OU beat Bama, and I don't think they're knocking out Notre Dame. It might knock out Bama if they lose to Georgia. Now, if Bama beats Georgia and BYU wins, then you're like, does it knock out Notre Dame or OU? It'd be crazy to think about. So I'm picking that just for chaos. And then finally, Alabama, Georgia. I think we kind of both said what we thought about this one.
Yeah, I'm going Georgia.
I'm with you, Georgia. So there are picks. Fun week, Amanda. Fun weekend in Austin for all the Aggies and Longhorns we saw and talked to.
He's not just saying that. He did have fun, I think.
I did.
Most of the time.
And it was just 30 minutes of football that I was pissed off and miserable. But before that, after that.
Never pissed off and miserable. It was a great weekend.
Well, and you know what? It was a good show for you. And I'm going to just say thanks. You kind of went easy on me. I feel like we've got good. I don't want to
lose all of our fans and sit here. And I'm also not the type. Maybe some of the people that listen. Maybe some people I think listen to this and think or see what I post on Twitter and think that I'm the type that's going to come in here and be like every other Twitter troll that they've ever seen.
I think you're more ferocious and like that when you feel like you're like on the defense. You know, like that's when you battle back a little more. Now today, it's like I said, you're in a good mood. You got the dub.
Yeah, my team won. We got the W. 2-score victory.
And you know what? The Aggies are in a good mood too because now they're going to the playoff. I think let's let.
He's moving the goalposts. The Aggies will always be happy even if they lose to Texas.
Goodbye. You're done. We're done here. All right, that's perfect.
All right.
She's Amanda, or I'm Billy.
I'm Amanda.
And
I'm
moving goalposts.
Moving goalposts.